Okay guys, before we get into the Ruby weapon fight, I wanted to show you guys something really cool I just found out about. So, first thing you're going to want to do, I am in the Sunken Galinka, as you can see. You want to make sure that you have Yuffie in your party. You also want to make sure that she is hurt, or does not have much HP, the lower the better. And then you're going to want to have Final Attack paired with Morph, and another Final Attack paired with Revive. You have to have at least 2 Final Attacks to do this. It works better the more that you have. So if you have 3, pair Full Cure with Final Attack, and if you have another life, pair that Final Attack with that life. But if you only have 2 like I do, you're going to want to have Final Attack paired with Morph for the first one, Final Attack paired with life for the second one. Make sure she also has her weapon conformer on. Make sure that you have 1 item that you can use in game on top, and make sure that all of your magic sources are used up. And then finally, you can have one of your other 2 members. I have Vincent with W item. So what we are going to do is duplicate magic sources, which should not be possible. If you remember the other walkthrough tutorial that I gave you on how to duplicate sources, the only catch to it was that you had to have at least 2 enemies on the screen, so when you morphed one of them, you had time to duplicate because the other enemy was alive. Because as soon as you kill this enemy, the battle is over. Well, there is a way around that. So what you're going to do is, first things first, you have Yuffie attack, do a normal attack, and now you just wait for this unknown to kill Yuffie, which could take a while, which is why the less HP you have, the better. Then you're going to take the person who has W item and get ready to do the W item duplication glitch. So let's get that started right now. So now all I have to do is wait until he kills Yuffie. So what is going to happen here is this unknown is going to kill Yuffie. Yuffie is going to do her final attack, Morph, which will then turn him into the magic source. Then you're going to use your other final attack spells that you have paired with as the time to duplicate your sources. So while she is casting life, you have time to duplicate sources, which is why the more final attacks you have, the better, because you'll have more time to duplicate these sources. Because I only have 1, I probably won't be able to get all the way up to 99, but it'll definitely be better than just having 1. I'm going to fast forward through this stuff until she dies. Because my luck is so high, that is why he is always missing with his attacks. So Bolt is pretty much the only thing that's consistently going to hit my characters. Alright, so now Yuffie is dead. She's going to cast the Morph. There's the magic source, and now we get a chance to duplicate. So I'm going to get as many as I can. So there, I got about 30. And we'll see what it looks like here. So I got 32 in that battle. Not bad. But if I had more final attacks, I would be able to get more magic sources in one battle. And you can do that with the other sources that you would only be able to get 1 with. So it's a nice little trick that we can use to upgrading our characters all the way. Alright, moving on to Ruby Weapon here. I was going to show you just a general way to take Ruby on. And then I got a comment from someone asking me if I was going to do the Lucky Sevens trick against Ruby. I told him that I wasn't going to because I wanted you guys to be able to beat Ruby Weapon without having to use that trick, because out of all the years that I've played this game, I think I've only had Lucky Sevens twice. So I didn't really know of a good way to, get that, and I didn't want to confuse you guys on how to make that happen. Well, I decided to play around with it for a while, and I found a pretty good strategy, fairly easy strategy on how to get the Lucky Sevens. If you don't know what the Lucky Sevens is, basically if your HP at any time during a battle lands on 7,777, you go into this trance mode where you just attack a ton of times 7,777. So it's a great trick to have when you're fighting someone as strong as Ruby. The problem is how do you make sure that you have 7,777 during a battle. So you're going to want to do this with either Barret or Cloud, I recommend. I chose to do it with Barret. So the way you want to get, this is what I did anyway, to get my HP at 7,777, or to get set up that way. What I am doing right now is I'm putting materia on Barret, and all you need to focus on is getting as close as you can to 77, the last two numbers on your HP. You want it to get as close as to 77 as you can without being under 77. So it has the first two numbers make no difference, just as long as the last two numbers on your health are close to 77 without being under. So here I'm just playing with the materia to get his health down. I'm trying to get those last two numbers as close to 77 as I can. I like using because if you notice the materia that I'm using primarily is green, the ones that only take 2% of your max HP down. So right now I'm at 83, which is pretty close. Once I get that close, I can take everything else off. Also, you got to make sure, obviously, that your last two, or your first two numbers of your HP are below 7,700. So anything under 7,777, and make sure that the last two numbers are close to 77, but over. And then once we do that, I'm going to put I'm going to put Transform on Barret, and then I'm going to put Manipulate, or I ended up using Master Command, on Cloud. Make sure that the ribbon is off on your other character, so I'm using Sid. And you're going to need potions and high potions after this too, so hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I just used the materia to bring down my HP and to bring it close so that the last two numbers were close to 77. And you put Transform on Barret. And you can do this anywhere, really. I went to Cactus Island because there's only one enemy that you have to deal with, and you can quickly manipulate him, and then you can do whatever you feel like in the battle. So it makes this a lot easier. So I fly to Cactus Island. And the first thing you're going to do is manipulate the cactus. Then you're going to have Barret cast Mini on Sid. and I kind of made a mess of this, so bear with me here. The first time missed, and then here I'm going to cast it again, and I'm going to accidentally cast it on Barrett, which still doesn't matter, we're fine. Let me try this one more time. Make sure we select Sid. Okay, now we're going to have Sid attack Barrett. Now if you've ever been in Mini, you know that when you attack, no matter what, you're only going to attack with 1 HP. So we're going to get Barrett down to his last 2 digits are 77. So the closer you are to 77, the fewer times you have to attack him. One more time. And now once we have Barrett at his last 2 numbers of his HP are at 77, we can leave. That's the hard part. So now we have the easy part. We just take our potions and high potions and give them to Barrett until his health is at 7,677. Make sure that you don't put it on 7,777 because you have to land on that during a battle, not beforehand, or else it won't work. So the thing to know about Ruby here is that he doesn't have as much HP as Emerald Weapon, but his defense is insanely greater than anyone you will face. On top of that, if you try and attack him, as soon as you get in the battle, it'll be 0. The only time you can hurt Ruby Weapon is when his claws are in the ground. And the only time he decides to put his claws in the ground is when he's only facing one other person. So what he's going to do right off the bat, he's going to do some attacks that are going to do a lot of damage. He's also going to do a move called Whirlwind. And if you remember when we fought the snake in the marshes a long time ago next to the Chocobo farm, he did that move where he swatted someone off the screen and then they were out of the battle. He's going to do the exact same thing basically, except it's called Whirlwind. Take someone out of the battle and they never come back until the battle's over. So you're going to also want to have your other characters dead when you start this battle. That way he will immediately put his claws into the ground. If you try and do this without this trick, you're going to want to make sure that whoever you decide to be the one person to fight him has the most magic than anyone else, because his defense is so high. You need someone with a high magic status to take him on, or else your magic spells and your summons won't do nearly as much damage. So I am going to give Barrett Mime and W item. Make sure that the first items that are on your inventory are the Dazers and a potion. Make sure you have Unger Max and your limit break is already full and your health is at 7,677. Both your characters are dead. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is cast Dazers for our first item, Potion for our second. And because both the other characters are dead, he immediately sticks his claws into the ground. We'll throw the Dazers at him, and then we throw the Potion. the Dazers stun him. He's basically frozen right now. That's one of the very few things that he's weak against. The claws are kind of like Emerald Weapons emeralds. One will attack and take away your HP, the other one will attack and take away your MP. And you can also essentially kill them, but Ruby Weapon can just bring them back. So now I'm in this trance here, and I'm going to be doing this for a long time. And I will just continue to do 7,777. Typically, the character that you choose for this likes to go for the claws first, and then once they are essentially dead, he starts attacking Ruby much more. And this is going to go on for quite a while. I believe this was put in here to essentially end any battle that you're in, but because Emerald and Ruby are so strong, it isn't enough to finish them off. However, after this little trance is done, as long as your health stays at 7,777, everything that you do will inflict the same amount of damage. So if you decided to attack again, it would be 7,777. What we're going to do is our limit break, and it's going to do the same thing. So if you don't feel like doing this trick, although I don't see why you wouldn't, because if you follow this, it should be pretty easy for you to get a character set up to do this. But if you don't feel like doing it this way, you're just going to want to take your strongest character and equip him with, the essentials, basically Mime, W Summon, Knights of the Round. I would pair a final attack with Phoenix, so that if you die, you can revive yourself. I would put Barrier on. He usually, if you use Knights of the Round with him, he almost always counters with Ultima, which does a lot of damage to you. You have to be aware of the claws, because if the one that sucks MP gets you, you usually don't have enough MP to either revive yourself with Phoenix or cast another Knights of the Round. So it is tricky, but it's definitely possible. I've done it before. I'm sure there's plenty of other YouTube videos that show a good strategy to beat him, but pretty much no matter what, you're going to have to do it all with one character. So now I'm done with that little trance, and you see he was still frozen from my Dazer, so I got my Unger Max limit break off. Usually he sucks up his claws right away, but because he was still frozen, I got off a free Unger Max, and now I'm going to mime it again. And I'm going to hit Mime one more time as soon as I get the chance. He's going to stick his claws in. It's going to give me one more chance at an attack before he and his claws retaliate. But fortunately, that last one did it. And just like that, we beat Ruby. And for winning, we get the Desert Rose. So we're going to head over to the Calm Traveler and give him, which should most likely be the last item needed for his journey. Remember, we gave him the Earth Harp from Emerald Weapon. We gave him the guidebook by morphing the ship. And now we will give him the Desert Rose. He gave us underwater materia for the guidebook. He gave us the master materia for Emerald. And for the Desert Rose, he gives us a Chocobo. And it's not just any Chocobo, it is a gold Chocobo. So, if you, for some reason, never got around to breeding or didn't want to, you can still get a gold Chocobo here by beating Ruby Weapon. So that will do it for this part. The very last part is coming up, where we take on Sephiroth.